clouds to the west. And the forecast said 8% chance of rain today. And we just got done cutting hay. Maybe it's all bark and no bite, and we'll move on out. No rain.
And on the 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer.
Here we go. Too many people hook to these drum mowers and don't take the time to level this thing up, get the turnbuckles tightened where the mower square behind the tractor. Simply put, they just don't take the time. And then they hook it to their tractor and say, that's good enough. That looks fine. And you get some people using them, start complaining, hey, this thing don't cut level. This thing don't cut straight. It's leaving twigs everywhere. It's not a clean cut, and on and on and on. Okay, folks, the hay is mowed. The reclaimed hay field is the hay in it's down. Thin spots, thick spots. That's kind of your typical, seems like for me anyway. There's a few thin spots, and I noticed the thin spots were all along the tree line next to the woods. Less sun. I'm just not real sure what kind of yield we're going to get. Let me step right here and pick up some hay out of this windrow. That the drum mower leaves kind of a windrow. Okay, see that? Actually pretty good hay. One thing I noticed the whole time I was mowing, that this seemed to be some of the dustiest hay. There was just particles of fine like chaff off hay just blowing around everywhere. And it finally dawned on me the drum mower was kicking up some of this organic material that had not made its way down into the sod real good. It's only been there about a month and a half, about 5 weeks. As you can see there's new hay cut there, and then on the bottom it's got that old the old clippings, which is really good for the sod, but man, there's a ton of it back here. I think we made the right decision cutting this, and we're gonna rake it and get it up. You can see one side of it's just fantastic mixture of Kentucky bluegrass orchard, a little fescue, and then on the very bottom side you can kind of see some of that brown organic material that got kicked up with it. It was still on the bottom layer of the grass and hadn't sunk down into the sod good yet. It is what it is. Our customer knows that this is going to be mediocre, or maybe a tad above. I would say this is going to be mediocre hay. After cutting it and doing like this and picking it up and looking at it, this is going to be mediocre hay because there's some of this in it. The drum mower has kicked up. So it is what it is. I think it's going to be good for our reclaimed hayfield regardless. So this was our first experience mowing this reclaimed hayfield with hay equipment. On this lower side, right down here, where I showed you in the previous video, I kept my drum mower on the uphill side, and I had to mow pretty slow. You may see in some of the clips of the mowing, there was a time or two right down here it got just a little, you know, you kind of get that leery feeling, that kind of eerie feeling that something, you can kind of see the tractor start, the tire never really coming off the ground, but you can tell there's not much weight. Probably you could park it right there and get off and walk around and grab it and pick the tire off the ground and flip it. It was kind of like just barely on the ground, a time or two down there. Once I made two or three passes, I got up where it was a little more safe. That's going to create an issue raking the way I like to rake with an inline hay rake. I always like to rake my very edge of the hayfield, rake it in. That's going to be hard to do with a right-hand hay rake. To pull it in, because if I do that, my rake's going to be hanging off the downhill side. I'll have to do a little bit of studying about this. If anybody's got some suggestions, let me know. I'd love to hear it. In a situation like this, a rotary rake or a side delivery rake, a roller bar or something like that would be fantastic. In this situation, my right hand inline rake's going to be, I'm going to have to do a little thinking about how to do this and not waste any hay. But our customer for their goats is going to get some hay to get them through the winter. It's got a weed load, but it mowed real well. No hitting no rocks, no humps, bad places in the field. I do have one hole, kind of a dip way out there next to a tree that I marked. I need to get a bucket of dirt and put in that this winter. It's kind of almost out of where I'd be mowing anyway, but the tractor tire could drop in that. And it's shin deep. You'd drop pretty significantly on one tire if your front tire hit in it. But other than that, the field mowed really well. The Kubota and the Farm Maxx drum mower ran perfectly. Blades are nice and sharp on that drum mower. It cut really nice. And the Kubota ran good. We had this drum mower all clean, and now it's just covered. We're gonna have to clean it again, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll tackle that when the time comes. Thanks for being with us today here on the farm, and we really appreciate you stopping by our channel. If you haven't, we'd really appreciate if you'd subscribe, drop some comments, give us a thumbs up. I pray that God blesses you and your family, and hope you have a great evening.